Hello, everybody. Welcome to session number 7 of the Bebop Rewatch podcast from Wulong Talks. Hi, my name's Jason. I'm the host of the show, as you know. And today we've got a very special guest joining us. But first of all, let me introduce the Rustin Kid, Rich Kid in the house, as always. Rich Kid, what's up?
What's up? What's up?
Cool, man. And our special guest joining us, you would have heard him before on our previous Wulong Talks podcast, and we're delighted to have him back again. It's scriptwriter, filmmaker, horror movie fan, anime fan, Cowboy Bebop fan, Mr. Jed Shepherd. Jed, what's up, man?
Ooh, yeah, all good, lads. Nice to speak to you again. Good seeing you. Man. I saw Richard the other day in the street, but besides that, good to see you.
Don't break the fourth wall, Jed.
Yeah, sorry. I was off to see Venom, and then just Richard appears beside me, like he's like in from my mind or something.
But the thing is, I swear to God, we were actually having a conversation on our WhatsApp group as well, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Did he pop on your shoulder like Venom and go, Eddie?
He was like, don't watch it. Whatever you do, don't watch it.
I didn't say that. I popped up on his shoulder. I went, Jed, get naked and run down the street.
Oh, man. That is the plot of Venom, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. It's funny. I read on Twitter, somebody tweeted out, I want to meet the committee of 10-year-olds high on Coca-Cola and sherbet dip that wrote Venom, because that seems like it was a fun place to be.
Yeah, but you know what? Tom Hardy seemed to have a good time. I'm one of the few people I actually didn't mind the film at all. I actually say I enjoyed it. It's like 90 minutes. It was fun. Like, I'm not going to watch it again. I don't have to watch it again. But to me, it's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp was just dragged a little bit for me, but Venom was just stupid fun. Yeah.
I haven't seen Venom yet, but I've seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. And Ant-Man and the Wasp isn't better than Ant-Man. But from what I've heard about, wow, you're talking big talks, bro.
honestly, like there are a few of us out there I see on Twitter, and I always like them when they say like Venom was better than people think it is. And I genuinely think Venom had the disservice of, like, straight away everyone was like, oh, it's rubbish. Even before it came out, everyone was saying, don't watch it, it's going to be rubbish. Everyone was taking the piss out of the trailer about how the kind of tone of it.
Yeah, well, the trailers were shit, to be fair, but yeah. I mean, they were terrible trailers. I don't know who they hired to cut those.
But it's fun. It doesn't make any sense. If you know anything about Venom, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But I'm just up for like Tom Hardy just going around like killing people and eating people and driving cars and just like killing people basically. And it's good, and just interacting with like old Chinese ladies and, you know, his next door neighbors like playing loud music, and he bangs on his door. He does the Venom face, and his next door neighbor goes, "Okay, cool, man. I'll turn the music down." That kind of stuff. It's good. Fun to me.
Cool. Well, we can argue about Venom another day, because right now we're here to talk about the greatest anime show ever made, Cowboy Bebop. Don't at me, people. You know it's true.
Yeah.
Now,
true.
For those of you who are new to the podcast, what we do here is we go by the episodes, episode by episode, or session by session, as they're referred to on Cowboy Bebop, and we talk a little bit about what happened in the episode we watched and the things that stood out to us, and then we go through a little bit of trivia at the end as well. And with Jed being a professional filmmaker, we'll be very interested to hear his take on a lot of the things that happen in this episode as well. But yeah.
Before we start,
yeah, sure.
How come you guys give me the worst episode? I'm joking.
Do you know, it's funny. I sat down and I watched this episode and I was like, yeah, this wasn't really the best one to get Jed on, to be honest.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Like, it's cool. Listeners, the episode's fun. It's a fun episode. There's definitely fun I had with it. But given kind of like, especially the last two sessions that me and Richard covered, session 5 and 6, where it's really meaty. You know, there's just a lot to talk about, whereas with this one there isn't a huge amount to talk about really, but you know what, we'll try and make it as entertaining as we can, listeners.
Yeah. No, I've got stuff to talk about.
Rich, what did you make of Heavy Metal Queen session 7?
It's still a good session, like we said. This is still the best anime. You know what? I literally just had like the worst feeling ever. Are we gonna get to like episode 20? Let's say episode 24, right? And look back on on this whole thing, and then after we've had these extensive the talks about this episode, be like,
right?
yes, be like, hey, you know what? Maybe Cowboy Bebop wasn't as great as we thought it was. Like there was this episode that was boring, that episode that was this. And hopefully that's not the case. Well, you know what? It hasn't been like that for the past 20 years.
It's only true if we say it's true. So as long as we deny it, then that's fine.
And if anybody else says it, we'll find you and we'll kill you. So, this episode once again is it's a filler-in episode. Like I said, and the thing about filler-in episodes is that I mean they're only as entertaining as they are on the length amount of time that they are on your screen. Like there's nothing that basically, let's put it this way, like you don't have to watch this episode to continue the rest of the season. It's just for the love of the show. But I have to admit it was entertaining. You did see a few differences in the portrayals of certain characters. I mean, to be fair, the only portrayal that the only different side you saw was of Spike, and that was only a slight difference in Spike, and that was him. His been a bit more of a ladies' man as compared to like the other episodes that he's been in, and being a bit more charming. But you didn't really learn anything new. I mean, there was a bit of an expansion on the actual universe of Cowboy Bebop. That was a bit interesting.
Yeah, that I found.
I think that was probably the most interesting thing. So, but yeah, like I said, it's just a filler-in episode. So yeah.
But yeah, let's dive into it, boys. So we get into session 7 with a whole heap of heavy metal, as the title of the episode says. And we get like this kind of introduction shot with what looks like a really long space vehicle, some kind of transport vehicle. I kind of thought it looked like the bow of a guitar almost. I don't know if you guys got that as well. Yeah,
I think
that's what I got.
You're right. Yeah,
because it kind of looks like it in terms of the color scheme and the way it's shaped and things like that. So I'm assuming that was a deliberate thing that the animators did. But we find out that this is an interstellar truck that carries these various shipments around the galaxy in which Cowboy Bebop exists. And we're introduced to this trucker named VT, who, and along with her pet cat Zeros as well. And they pull up into a truck stop. And one of the people in the truck stop has this kind of bet that, or this long-standing kind of bet that he takes up where he tries to guess what VT's real name is. And part of the process is, VT pulls out this whack of money, puts it on the table. This person takes out a bill and is like, yeah, I think your name is XYZ. And then they usually get it wrong. She keeps the money and adds it to her stack. And because the stack is so big, obviously this is something that's been going on for quite a while. So this dude tries to guess and gets it wrong. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, did you guys know straight away that this was a girl?
Not at first, I didn't, but it took a couple of minutes before I realized, oh yeah, that's a woman.
I noticed,
me, but I know you did straight away, Rich.
Yeah, because we had this conversation the other day. Sorry, Jed, Karen.
I was going to say, because I think the viewers meant to think this is a man, this is a trucker, it's a man, and then because there's like a hat and like the way he dresses. And then you hear the voice, and you're like, is it a woman or is it like an effeminate man? Because these animes, you could have effeminate men all over the place.
Yeah.
And then you see the cat, and you go, okay, I'm not sure here. I'm confused. But because I saw I read one review of this where the guy was he was completely blasé to the fact that it was a woman, and he thought it was a gay man. And I was just like, hang on, am I getting this all wrong? Is it actually a gay man? Or some kind of trans person? But it's a woman, right? It
is a woman. Yeah.
I think it's quite interesting. It's quite subversive because normally, as you said, Jed, with animes, it's the gender boundaries are fairly clear. And even when you do have transgender characters, they're normally drawn a certain way to kind of suggest that they are female or or female identifying. But in VT's case, she just does not look like a traditional anime woman from the way that they've decided to, design the character, dress the character, and the way that, as you said, she speaks, because her voice is quite deep and sort of rasping as well.
Because I thought that was why because of that bet, everyone was saying like male names because they thought she was men. So she was dressing up to almost kind of like play that game a bit more, so people won't guess women's names. I was thinking it was tied into the bet, maybe.
Well, this whole episode is it is, just watch it. It is a bit of like, it just one of the themes about it is just about mistaken identity or how people are portrayed.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because you look at you look at VT, and then you look at then you look at how because Faye, even though Faye doesn't have a large, in fact, Faye does have quite a large part in this episode. But then you look at how Faye is. And then the other female person that you get in this episode is like, what's her name? I've forgotten her name. Not L'Oreal. The barmaid. So like the way how the barmaid is. So you've got three different iterations of how women are portrayed in this place, and then you've also got the side episode of them chasing a bounty, and there's mistaken identity there. Where Faye goes to the guy and he's just like all beefy and everything, and then the tattoo that he loves is like some cuddly tattoo when she looks at the whole thing.
It's an eel. And then you've got like, I love eels.
I love eels.
It's a brilliant line, isn't it?
I do crack up. I cracks up.
And then you find out that the person that you're chasing is somebody who's completely different looking, who you wouldn't imagine to be like a criminal. So that is like a bit of an underlining theme in this episode, where it's like what you see isn't what you get. And like literally just talking about it with you guys. And to be fair, when I was watching it, it did kind of just pop into my head, and I was like, oh. All right, and or not just that, but the same thing where when VT is talking to Spike when they first meet, and he tries to put in this whole thing that of what he is, then she finds out what his profession is. So this episode just seems to be about like what you think and what you eventually find out isn't necessarily going to be the same thing, whether you're told it or whether you see it. And that was just a brain fart there, guys.
Yeah, no, it's good. But do you think when Spike realizes that VT doesn't like bounty hunters, the whole rest of the episode is him trying to prove to her that bounty hunters are actually all right? Because when that fight happens, when those kind of like space Mexicans in the cafe, in the diner, start like harassing that girl, like VT is straight in there. But like Spike is just like being a typical stereotypical bounty hunter, and just like he's just leaving it. He's just like happy to have his raw egg, and then it's only when his egg spills on his crotch, which is weird. Then he starts to get involved. So he's not getting involved because the woman's getting molested. He's getting involved because egg was on his trousers, and that kind of plays up to what VT thinks about bounty hunters. Like they're not great.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I think like after that, and when she runs her mouth to him and gives her opinion, and then he's like, okay, I see what you're saying. And then you're right, it does kind of become a thing of like, we're not all the same. But I mean, if you think about it as well, like there is a Spike tends to have a certain amount of respect to people that are older than him. That like and the way how he then basically starts to approach VT, where it also reminds me of the relationship that he has with now I've forgotten her name from the other episode.
I know you're talking about the Russian and she owns the
little stall,
corner shop, doesn't she?
Corner shop.
I forgot. Annie, is it Annie or something like
Annie,
that?
Yes, it is as Annie. Yes, Annie. Yeah. So once again, it kind of reminds me of that type of relationship that he has with people that are older than him, or let's say like a lady that's older than him. There's a certain amount of respect that he has, and I'm also, I mean, just maybe sticking to the character and the situation that the character's in. Remember, Spike is coming off a hangover as well. So maybe he's got this whole thing of like I mean, in the toilet he's going like, I don't particularly want to be in this job. I'm hanging like, I think he says like his head is hanging out his ass or something something ridiculous. So maybe at that point when he realizes, and then he gets into the fight, and he's like, shit, I really got to do the right thing. And then there's also the thing of like he has to prove her wrong. because he's been raised the right way.
He smashes up those Mexicans, man. Like some of his moves, like unbelievable. Like they did the classic kind of thing where the bad guys, they wait one by one and they just fight one by one. None of them rush in, and they just stand in the line so you can do like one like high kick and just like sweep all of their heads in a row. These bad guys never learn.
Proper Three Stooges style.
Yeah.
But I mean, we should probably set the scene because we've gone ahead a little bit, so we should probably set the scene a little bit for the listeners. So at this point in the story, VT has successfully taken this person's money and has stopped at this diner on a planet. Again, we're not clear on exactly what planet they've stopped on, because with Cowboy Bebop, they don't necessarily name every planet that they're on at certain points, so you're not sure which one it is. But anyway, they've stopped at this diner, and VT is there at the bar, and as the guy said, there are these bounty hunters there who are acting really aggressively, and VT complains, I think, to the diner owner, what are all these muscle heads doing here, or something like that. And apparently they're all chasing this big bounty. And then, as the guys said, this fight breaks out while Spike is in the diner, and Spike and VT take out a bunch of these guys. And then Spike attempts to have a guess at VT's name after that happens as well. And he gets it wrong, so his money goes in there. Well, no, he doesn't actually give the money down, does he? Because then she finds out that he's a bounty hunter, because Faye, I think, calls Spike whilst he's doing that, and talks about a bounty on the conversation. And at this point is where the truth comes out about Spike being a bounty hunter, and that's where VT kind of lets everybody know what she thinks about bounty hunters. And then we kind of cut from there to Faye, who, as Rich said earlier, is staking out this restaurant called, I think, Woody's or something like that. Yeah. And they're there for this target of a person called Decker, as Jed pointed out earlier. Decker has a really large bounty on his head, and Faye knows that he has a dragon tattoo on his chest, so she's looking out for this person. She ends up, as they said, in quite a funny scene, getting completely the wrong guy who has a tattoo of an eel. And I think the eel's smiley faces almost looks a bit like what's that character from SpongeBob? God, is it Squidward? No, not Squidward. I'm thinking of I can't remember now, but it's almost the face is almost exactly the same as this SpongeBob character. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. I know what you mean. You
know who I mean, right? It's not Squidward. It's and it's not Patrick, and it's not SpongeBob, but there's another one there who's got almost exactly the same face as this eel tattoo.
Yeah. Is that the guy that runs the bad guy? The little.
I think it's Is it the guy who runs the
opposing patty shop? Yeah,
I think it might be the opposing patty shop. I think it might be him. I can't remember his name. Listeners, you'll know who he is. Basically, he's got this stupid eel tattoo on his chest, and as I said, in the funny line is Faye asks him why has he got this tattoo, and he's like, I really like eels, which again kind of ties into one of the earlier episodes, Rich, that we were talking about. Remember with the rare eels that people were eating with the eco-terrorists.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes in with that. Anyway, there's a whole chase sequence as Faye realizes her mistake and the real Decker tries to escape. She gives chase, but he throws like a vial. It's like a vial almost, right? He throws at her.
Kind of a stinker bomb that used to like.
Yeah. That's what. Funny enough, that's exactly what it reminded me of. It looked like a school stink bomb.
Yeah, it did.
So he throws this thing and it explodes, and that allows him to make his getaway. And then meanwhile, Spike comes out and finds that his the swordfish has been completely wrecked by the bounty hunters that he helped to beat up.
And just messed up.
Yeah, they've proper done a number, and that's when the waitress there. Yeah, you're right, Richard. Her name's Muriel. the waitress who comes out, Muriel, comes out and says, "Oh yeah, I saw them do it." Like, and he's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And she's like, "I'm telling you now." And I thought that was just hilarious, to be honest. I really did. It's always that kind of silly humor that gets to me, to be honest. So yeah, it's the most obvious thing in the world, because it's the look on their face as well. Like, what do you mean I didn't tell you? I am telling you. Like, what could you be possibly talking about?
But did you guys I was watching out, like, this sounds weird. I was like thinking about, like, he just had egg on his crotch. Like,
yeah.
Like, you can't spend such little time in the toilet and get all the egg out. It will look like he's done something in his pants. And I was looking out for that. He walked outside. It looked clean, like in brand new trousers. So that kind of took me out of the episode a little bit. That his trousers weren't soiled.
Yeah, not great. Not great continuity there by them.
I'll tell you what I did like. I don't know if you guys noticed, but like we keep on saying to any guys or anybody or you listeners who listen to us, the thing about Bebop is there's usually loads of things happening in the background. Did you notice about where Faye is basically staking this bounty? Did you realize what type of restaurant she was in?
It was like a kiddies restaurant, like
it's a kiddies child restaurant, but basically it's a blatant rip-off of like Mickey and Minnie Mouse, like a Disney place. And I think the name, I'm not even joking, I think the name is called like Marky and Manny or something Manny. and you see people in costumes serving dinner. And they've just got like this big round mouse face. It just looks so bait.
That's the Cowboy Bebop thing. They take something and change the name a little bit.
They change the name a little bit to avoid the lawsuit.
Yeah, because did you see like when he was having that those eggs, like above him there was a bottle of gin. And
yes, it's called Boof Eater. Yeah, I noticed that as well. I was cracking up at that. yeah. Obviously, they were wise enough to know that they didn't have the money to fight the copyright lawsuits that were coming their way. So it's like, let's just change a couple of these letters around.
No one will notice.
No one will know. They know what we're talking about. Yeah. So at that point in the story, with both Faye and Spike's sort of sub vehicles wrecked, they rely on VT to give them a lift back to the Bebop, and they get a lift from there. After she kind of drops them off, she gets a call from VT. Gets a call from the same dude that she was talking to earlier in the episode. Who says that there's a crazy driver out there who's smashed into his rig, and so she asked for help to kind of track down this rig driver. Now, what I liked about this section was kind of the play on trucking culture in America, because I don't really know a lot about kind of trucking culture, but what I do know of it is that they have this very specific community where they all kind of have their own code names, and every truck kind of has its own specific look and feel, and is based on the personality of that truck owner. And I loved what they did with the ships here, because each of the ships kind of had a different theme as well, and every driver had like a crazy code name, like Love Machine and Sneaky Snake. One guy was called Sneaky Snake. There was just all kind of like man names up in there, and I really enjoyed that.
Do you remember that film that who was it again? It was flipping Paul Walker. That film.
I know you talk about. Yeah.
Candy cane. And like, horror about truckers. This kind of reminded me of it a little bit.
Yeah.
The thing is, actually. So some of those truckers, they look like they were about that life. There was one, he was mad skinny. He was mad skinny, had a vest on, but in the background there was like, you can get that like belt of bullets.
Yeah.
That was just draped around this seat. I was like, what are you taking around?
Man. I once got into an Uber and the guy put a gun on the seat, like in front of me.
Hold on, where was this?
This was in Utah, in America.
Oh yeah, of course. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah. I drove from the airport and had to drive into the mountains to go to this like film festival thing, and like because we were all alone in middle of nowhere, Like I could have easily like killed him or something. And he heard my accent. And he must have thought like, oh, this guy's not from around here. And he took his gun from it was like underneath his seat and put it on the seat next to him. And I was just like, is that a gun? And he was like, yep. And I was like, oh, okay. Like it's just strange.
I love how like in a country where people get shot all the time by other Americans, he thought you were the threat in this situation.
I know,
like you were. Like, this unarmed English guy, he could be dangerous. Let me put my gun on the seat.
I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he was doing this just to let me know it's there or just. I don't know.
Hold on, Jed. Did you just say that he took his gun out and he left it on the chair and you could have killed him?
It was on the chair, like to his left. So I was in the back.
Yeah, so you just said that you could have killed him. Let me tell you something. This is just me as an outsider. Yeah. I think he put that gun in a chair, and you were thinking, I could have just jumped in the front and taken that gun and just shot him. I think he was driving that car again. I wish a motherfucker would.
Pretty much. Yeah. It was a test.
I think he just kind of set the tone. He was like, all right.
But like, there's more to that story, but I have to tell you when we're not being recorded.
Oh wow, okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. So, anyway, the truckers all, VT radios into all of these intergalactic truckers, and they all agree to help her keep an eye out. So they're going to look out for this truck, which it turns out is Decker's truck. Which has this specific painting on the outside. Apparently, according to the story, it's a painting of a goddess. I didn't get the chance to look up what kind of goddess it is, but that's what they were referring to it in the episode anyway. Mm-hmm. So she manages to find Decker's truck, and she gives pursuit to him, but he goes into like these old mining kind of asteroids, I guess they were. I mean, I'm not sure how you guys would describe it, but
just like mines, space mines.
Yeah, but I guess like an asteroid mine of some kind. She then VT that is contacts Spike, and he warns her straight away that it's dangerous in there, and that Decker is apparently carrying these explosives, this experimental explosive in his cargo, which I think he stole, which is the reason why he's kind of on the run anyway. Mm-hmm. And apparently this stuff is extremely volatile. So Spike and Faye kind of duck out of the Bebop, even though Jet hasn't really had the chance to finish the repairs on their ships, and he pretty much says as much. And this scene makes me laugh so much because it's like, not because there's anything specifically funny about the interactions as such, but more just because Jet just seems to be like, as these episodes have gone on, Rich, more and more he just seems to be the ship's mummy, and he's the one who kind of like is always the one they go to, like with holes in things, like going to Jet, fix it, and it's Jet who has to do all of that.
Jet was rubbish.
And in the meantime, he has to lecture them about like doing the right thing and this and that and the other, and it always that kind of makes me laugh. Sorry, Jed, you were saying.
Oh no, I was just saying Jet was rubbish in this episode.
He always gets he gets relegated every so often to the mummy role, and it's just they don't really do anything with him. He's just kind of there,
Yeah, but I mean, I think he's wasted in a lot of Cowboy Bebop episodes, because I think he's got like a decent story, and there are a few episodes that are like about him, but this is just, he's missing. There was no need for him to be in this at all. Zero need. They were I thought, oh, how can we put him in it? Oh yeah, we'll get the spaceship smashed up a bit so he can fix it. But, no, he was kind of wasted.
Yeah, he was a little bit. He was, and so was Ein. To be honest, I was like, because I love Ein, but it's like he was literally just there, I think, to look at his food bowl, and that was about it. So I'm not sure kind of what the thinking was behind the scenes there, but anyway, that's what we got. So Spike and Faye head out to meet up with VT and to try and help her in the mines with Decker. Now they get stuck inside the mines at a certain point, and basically they come up with this plan to use one of the explosives in Decker's rig to kind of blow a hole through the front of the mine. I think it is, from what I remember.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So there's this kind of set piece where they're trying to kind of get this liquid out while it's still volatile. And there was a slightly funny bit that I found kind of funny where Faye was trying to get one of these large sort of container capsules off of Decker's ship. And the only thing that works on her ship at the moment is these kind of pincers that she has on there. And Spike says, so oh, be careful of these containers are really volatile and so on and so forth. She's like, yeah. And then VT's like, oh, don't worry about it. What's the worst that can happen? We can die. All that would happen is we die.
Yeah, I love that.
and Faye's like, yeah, that's really helpful. Thanks for that. And Faye immediately kind of puts the pincer into like a unit in between the two capsules. And straight away Spike is like, oh, yeah, that's like the protective capsule. So literally she's burst the one thing that was keeping these two chemicals separate from each other, and she kind of makes a face at the camera, and I thought that was quite funny and quite well done. In the way they pulled that one off. Then eventually basically Spike has this idea to set up his pod inside of the swordfish, and to put it into autopilot mode and to send the explosive from there to the edge of the mine and blow the mine up, and then they get out that way. So they managed to do that part. Spike flies out of his pod.
His famous flying.
Yeah, his famous. Yeah,
I love that. That was beautiful. Like it's these moments in Cowboy Bebop that reminds you why everyone loves this and why everyone thinks this is the best animation like of all time. Because stuff like this, you don't see this shit in other things. He just like holds his breath and like without hesitation. It's just him proving again that he's like more than just a bounty hunter. He's trying to save people's lives, and he just goes out of his spacecraft. He flies away, and then oh man, it's so good. I'd love to see like a movie version of this. And then he flies the spaceship. He almost gets there, and he kind of flies back, and then he uses his guns as like
best
to propel himself back. I was like, Spike is the man. Like, if we didn't think so before. Now we know Spike is the man. He is doing stuff like flipping gods could do, like real superheroes could do. And it kind of made me think, hang on, like, how did Spike know he could do this? Like, what's the story here?
Yeah.
Like, when's he had to do this before?
No. You're absolutely right. It does. It leaves you with like more questions about Spike, and as we've kind of discussed in some of the previous episodes that we've done with Cowboy Bebop, it kind of it drip feeds you information about these characters. So little by little it will expose a little bit more about who they are, but you'll never get like too much exposition or too much kind of, oh yeah, I learned to do this when I was back when I was doing XYZ, or when I was it never kind of pans out that way with Cowboy Bebop, and with some of the better anime series that I've seen. It's they're very careful not to give you too much at once. They want you to kind of invest in the story, and then as you invest in it, they'll keep revealing layer after layer after layer until you get there. And with Spike, I mean, even in the last episode we saw we were talking about in Sympathy for the Devil, that begins with this dream sequence of Spike being operated on. And, to this point, we don't know why he was being operated on or what they were doing at this point in the story. So for all we know, there's something that's, medically been done to Spike to make him slightly different towards than other average human beings. We don't know, as said at this point, but scenes like that, as you said, show the brilliance of the show, because they're seeding these little things in your mind and getting you thinking about where the characters are going and things like that. So Spike just about makes it into VT's ship, and the plan goes to success, and they blow a hole through the outside of through the inside, of this mine, and they're able to make it out. And then as they kind of go out from there, the mine is collapsing, and they go into weightlessness again inside of VT's rig. And whilst they're in weightlessness, this pendant kind of floats across the screen, which Spike sees. And basically the pendant reveals VT's real name, which is I can't remember now.
Victoria
Turpis Score. Yeah.
Wife of Ural Turpis Score, the bounty hunter.
Exactly. Yeah. So it turns out he's like a legendary bounty hunter, and that's the reason. Well, it's not the reason why she doesn't like bounty hunters. The reason why she doesn't like them is because he's dead, and we presume he's dead.
Yeah,
he was dead, doing his job, or he was doing something, and or chasing a bounty that didn't go too well for him. But anyway, the episode kind of ends on a light note with Spike revealing that he knows her name, and then VT then giving a few more details about what happened to Uro all those years ago. And she then says, well, you've guessed correctly, so you might as well take the money. But Spike only takes his bill out, or he takes one bill out, and he says to give the rest to Uriel because he'll use it for a drink up in heaven.
I thought it was savage. I was like, all right, mate, don't rub it in. The husband's dead husbands.
Yeah, it's funny because we've talked, as said, since we've been kind of doing this podcast. Spike's kind of his nihilism borders on it borders on almost sociopathic to the point where like he doesn't seem to, this is what I find so fascinating about him. It's like at certain points in Cowboy Bebop, he seems to know exactly the right thing to say to a person. Mm-hmm. And then at other times, he's so blunt. It's like, what the fuck, Spike? Like, you're being a dick, man. Like, you don't have to do that, Like, you could have dealt with that situation differently. But because he's just so... He has such a bleakness to him and a bleakness in his outlook on life in some ways. It's almost like he just can't see how to relate to certain people. He just kind of... So the only thing he can do is tell the truth, which is, however brutal or blunt that may be. And then he tells you the truth, and then he leaves you to deal with it, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the thing that I like. The thing that I like about this episode as well is with VT and Spike. The thing is, they just cut from the same cloth. Mm-hmm. Like, have you seen, like, when they're actually in the asteroid and Faye has to go get the explosive and all of that stuff, and they're just casual. Spike's just in a swordfish. She's just chilling. She's got her legs kicked up and she's got her hands behind her head. And I like that they have that thing in common after they got off, they start off with like the shaky ground and whatnot. Even down to the bit where they haven't met each other. But yet there's something that you just know that, okay, well, it kind of like alludes that there's something about her that's just not out of the ordinary, apart from the fact that she's like stupidly respected. Yeah. But that bit when he jumps out of the swordfish and he does the whole acrobatic stuff, it's like any normal person would be like, "What the hell is he doing?
Yeah.
What are you gonna?" And she just automatically just opens the door, then grabs his hand, and then does the thing. And you're just like, "She's a badass. He's a badass. Yeah." And they're both just badasses together. And I just love that thing that they just know.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they even flow even better than. Let's say I can imagine Spike and let's say Faye working together, whereas in that same instance, like Faye's freaking out and she's just doing this whole thing, and these guys are just like, well, this is just Tuesday.
Yeah. Because say for example, like you two, if Jason's in the coming out of a spaceship and you're and you open up the door or we're waiting for him. You wouldn't be all calm. You'd be like, bloody hell, mate! Come on, what are you doing? We didn't discuss this. No agenda. It's not gonna work. But she's just like, la 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 la. This is gonna be fine. But do you guys? So that kind of reveal with the locket. Do you guys see that kind of proves to me a little bit that the whole time the audience is meant to think that she's the guy, and that's meant to be the mic drop moment where you're just like, oh, okay. Or do you think that everyone knew she was a woman anyway?
I don't know, because the funny thing is, I'm just headed over now to Bebopopedia, listeners, which is, as you know, is our regular source for all the trivia behind episodes. It's a great site. You should definitely check it out. And on Bebopopedia, apparently the fellow trucker is called Otto, and his first guess at her name is Val Tamania. which seems more a feminine name than a masculine name.
True, yeah.
So I'm assuming it means that everybody is just kind of aware that she's a woman. So maybe that was just kind of how we interpreted her character when she first appeared, and you know, that's why we had that confusion there. But yeah, it seems like everybody else in the universe of Cowboy Bebop is aware that she's a woman. So I think maybe
because they say like that's it, because they all say women's name, don't they? That's it. No one said because even like the three old guys who I'm sure you'll bring up in the thing, like they lose their money quick. But like one of them goes like it's Lynette or something like that, or Lorraine. Like, what?
Oh yeah, that's right. Because then VT's like, that doesn't even start with V. What are you talking about?
Because I think they say like Annette or something, like Annabelle.
Yeah, it was something. Like that. Yeah, that was funny.
There was so much about this episode that, like, I know this is almost like a filler episode, but there was still you forget because we take it for granted how beautiful this actual animation is. Like, I was watching, I was like, oh my god, this! I wish we got animation like this now. Like, it just looks so cinematic, and like, you can see they took time to like put details into the background, and they really didn't have to. Like, there's some scenes with just two characters talking in the background. There's just like a city in the background. Like, you didn't need to animate an entire city like going about their lives. You could have just had a brick wall behind them, but no, you've put a whole city back there. And it's that kind of attention to detail that makes this Cowboy Bebop like so rewatchable, because you could on any given day watch an episode of Cowboy Bebop and see something in the background that you've never seen before, even though you've watched this tons of times. Like, it's so rewarding, like the kind of rewatching. So it's good that you guys are rewatching it, because you get that rewarding experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the thing is, you know, where you're talking about the animation, like, because like I said, I rewatched it twice before we went on. But my favorite scene and the animation, like you said, like it looks like it doesn't belong in an anime. It looks like it belongs, you know, that somebody's filming it, like, you know, let's just say Scorsese or like a Spielberg. But you know the bit where Spike jumps out of the ship, and the first time when he tries to grab VT's hand, and he misses, and he starts floating away. And it shows her face, and it shows his face, and it shows him going away from the camera. There's just something about that scene in general, and I'm just like, that's just fucking amazing. It's just beautiful. It's amazing. Man. Like it belongs. Like it. You know, I that scene, that frame when it shows her face and his face and him going away, I'd put up there with like the first time when you see Brody in Jaws. And you've got the pull in, pull out thing. You know, just that thing. He's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. Like it just has that impact of like, okay, shit just got real. Like, I just love that scene. There's just something about it that just works.
That's called a dolly zoom.
It's called a dolly zoom, yeah. Okay, I forgot what it's called.
When you do that kind of. Man, just like.
You're absolutely right, Jed, to pick out like the kind of the cinematic kind of detail that they take with each of these episodes, because it's one of the things that, you know, me and Rich have talked about a lot in the previous episodes, is how much attention to detail goes into every scene to make it look like a picture or a film frame, you know, rather than just an image that you've drawn onto a cell or something like that. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the things that makes this series stand apart from all others, really, is the way that they invest so much time and effort into the small details, you know. So that definitely adds it up. But let's dive into some of these homages and references, because there's quite a few in this episode apparently. So so I said, listeners, we're getting this from Bebopopedia, so make sure you go and check out that website. It's really cool. So first things first on here, is that so when Faye tries to capture Decker by staking him out at the restaurant, she mistakenly identifies him for another man. This man has a tattoo that looks like Decker's dragon tattoo, but is in fact an eel. When Faye points the gun at the man with the eel tattoo, Decker freaks out and runs away. Decker looks strikingly like Woody Allen, and since the restaurant is where he's first introduced is called Woody's, it's probable that this is a homage. He's also named after Rick Deckard from Blade Runner. I noticed both of those references. And I guess they wanted to have someone who's the opposite of the big
hunky man with the eel tattoo. So they must have thought, okay, who's the most Weasley guy we know? And
Woody Allen.
This is before anyone knew he had, like.
Yeah, this is before we knew about the paedophilia.
Yeah. because don't forget, like, Woody Allen is, besides his film stuff, is also known for his jazz stuff. With this and like he tours being a jazz musician, and so I'm sure we're trying to be like knew all about Woody Allen and influenced.
Sure. VT's initials are also the initials for the first woman to ever step foot in space. Her name was Valentina Tereshkova. Tereshkova, sorry.
That's cool.
So that's probably that sounds pretty plausible. VT speaks with several truckers whose CB handles are Love Machine, Sneaky Snake, and Spider Mike. These are a reference to the C.W. McCall song Convoy, as well as the feature film based on the song, as is VT's use of the call sign Breaker 19. Breaker 19 actually, when she said that, I was like, where have I heard that before? And that actually makes sense, because I don't know the song, but the movie Convoy sounds like something I've seen when I was young, and I probably watched on TV.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
I think Breaker 19 it does actually come from that. So yeah, that does make some sense there. Okay, here's an obscure one. In the episode Heavy Metal Queen, the character of Otto was modeled after the character portrayed by Bunata Sugahara in Takayaro, or aka Tucker Guys in English, which is a series of 10 films from 1975 to 1979, directed by Norobumi Suzuki. I don't know those movies. Wow. Yeah, there's 10 of them as well.
About Trucker Guys.
Obviously did well.
That is not something I'm going to watch. About Trucker Guys. The Japanese.
Yeah, that's a uniquely Japanese sensibility.
Listen. The closest you're going to get to me watching anything to do with truckers is fucking Smoking Your Bandit. That's it.
One of the bounty hunters in the bar tells VT, "I'm tired of you, Blondie," as a reference to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Oh, yeah, I didn't catch that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. The entire episode in general is a reference to the Deep Purple song Space Trucking, apparently. The name of the legendary bounty hunter mentioned in this episode, Terpsichore, I think is how you pronounce it. Yeah, I can't remember. But it is a reference to the muse. Terpsichore was the muse of dancing. After Spike leaves VT at the bar, you can see a bottle of Beefeater. Beefeater's pin on a spin on the popular Beefeater gin, which you. And one brief image in the scene in the background of Heavy Metal Queen's cab is Satyr from Satyricon.
Right. Okay. That's some old school book or something.
Yeah. Well, apparently they're all references to this song by Deep Purple. I don't know Deep Purple's music, so I would.
They did Smoke on the Water. Down.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is that them? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It sounds like a space trucking song. Down.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then. Yeah. I get that. Written on the door to the bathroom stall that Spike is using while talking to Faye, it reads, "I wrote a letter to Heinlein once, asking him if I could use his ideas. I don't remember which song or which book now, but he wrote back to me and said, 'Oh my God, you're the first person out of thousands who's stolen my ideas, who's written and asked.'" This quote is from Heavy Metal Magazine, August 1984 issue, from an interview with Paul Cantona of Jefferson Airplane.
Okay. So it is from the guy from Jefferson Airplane right into someone called Heinlein, who asked him to like.
Well, Heinlein, he's a famous sci-fi author. He's the guy who wrote
Robert A. Starship Troopers.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Starship Troopers.
So this guy from Jefferson Airplane wrote to him and asked to take his ideas or something for like a song. Right.
Yeah.
Which I find hard to believe, because Starship Troopers is a pile of shit. But that's just my opinion, man.
Are you actually being serious?
No, not the film, not the film.
Yeah,
book.
Yeah. Really,
the book is Pantalones, man.
I have not read the book.
Oh, you're blessed. You're blessed. You're blessed.
And the last reference is Decca's truck has a depiction of of Saraswati. Sorry, that took about 4 goes. Saraswati. That's the name of the god. Now, apparently, okay, here we go. According to Wikipedia, Saraswati is the Hindu goddess of knowledge, music, art, wisdom, and learning. She's part of the trinity of Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Parvati. All 3 forms help the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva to create and maintain and recycle the universe, respectively. So, a bit of Hinduism thrown in there.
Yeah, I guess like all these little things like add to the kind of the multi layers of Cowboy Bebop. Like I'm sure people could read more into that. Like I don't know how, but like they can. Every little thing is like probably put there on purpose. It's not a mistake.
Yeah.
You've got these animators like taking flipping months and months and months to do an episode. So everything they write is very specific. Very specifically placed there, so I wonder what that actually means. Like, why is that there?
Yeah, it would be interesting to find out, really, because as you said, nothing, and certainly this is what Rich and I have been saying since we've been doing this, is that nothing that you see in any of these episodes is put in there by accident. They're all trying to tell you something about, whether it's about the plot itself or whether it's about those characters and what they're like, and there's always a message in almost every frame. So yeah, it's a fascinating choice, that. But that's it, listeners. That's session 7 finished in terms of the episode and such. So yeah, to round up, fun episode, not necessarily essential viewing in your experience, but yeah, there's still some fun to be had. I mean, Rich was right, and so was Jed. It is a filler episode, but you'll still get some fun out of it. There's a few yucks in there, and as said, there's a lot more detail going on than we realized in terms of the references. So you could definitely get a kick out of that as well.
Yeah,
guys, what were your final thoughts on it?
For me, I had a couple of questions about like the cat, like why how come the cat seemed anti-gravity? Like when the cat first comes in, it was floating through the air. And I was like, what is? So that's one thing. but besides that, I think there's a lot in this episode to kind of like. Obviously, it's not as like bombastic and as memorable as some of the other episodes, but I think the kind of it's very now like the kind of whole thing on is it a man, is it a woman, like, and gender identity and just identity in general. So I think that was quite interesting to watch it with like 21st century eyes. But yeah, I mean, it's Cowboy Bebop. It's always going to be good. Even the kind of the lesser episodes is always going to be good.
Yeah.
And that kind of balletic space thing that Spike did towards the end was just the absolute winner. So yeah, thumbs up from me.
Cool. Rich, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah. No, I mean, basically what I said at the beginning of this episode. It's a filler episode, and it doesn't really add anything. But then at the same time, it's Cowboy Bebop, and it does add some stuff. Like it adds some stuff to the universe of Cowboy Bebop. We're told although it's like literally just a throwaway line, but we know that there's other bounty hunters out there, and they don't always end up, in the best way. Like Spike, like. It's almost like a continuation. Like we've seen episodes where we've seen other bounty hunters get killed in action. Now this is somebody who has been killed already, and somebody's having to deal with the fallout from that. Is it little things like that make it interesting? But like we said, it's just Cowboy Bebop, and so there's even like the most lamest of episodes, if there is such a thing, the amount of levels to it is going to be better than the best episodes of like the shit that we get nowadays. But that's just my opinion. So once again, still go and peep it. It's Cowboy Bebop. You can't go wrong, man.
I would have if they said to me, Jed, how could you fix this? Not that it's bad. Like there's a few things they could have done to tweak it. And this is what I think. They should have made the identity a bit more ambiguous. They shouldn't have, because you can tell it's a female voice. Maybe made it a little bit deeper. Maybe in post. and maybe in the Japanese dub it is a bit deep. I don't know. And they should have had it more like as a reveal at the end, or like towards the end, made it a bit more of a reveal. And I also maybe think the act of Spike almost sacrificing himself for VT, that should have been after the reveal, because it would have been kind of cool to see him react to the fact, oh, okay, so this is why you hate bounty hunters, because they potentially killed your husband. I'm going to prove you wrong, and that not all bounty hunters are the same. And then he does that. I think it would have been a more of an emotional impact if it was that way around. But also, like, the episode's called Heavy Metal Queen, which kind of gives the game away as well. Like, she is VT is the Heavy Metal Queen, so there's no messing around. But yeah, I don't know. I would have just maybe like changed the order around of a few things, and maybe a bit more Jet. Then would have been cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Well, as said, we're delighted to have Jed along with us. And Jed, you're definitely going to come back on another episode, right?
Yeah, of course, man. Of course.
Wicked, because I've got a couple of horror episodes in mind for you.
Nice.
So I can't wait to hear your take on these. But yeah, I mean, before we kind of go, Jed, for those of you that don't know, as said, is a scriptwriter, and he's a movie maker as well. He has some experience working in the business, both at an independent level, and he's written scripts for Hollywood too. I'm allowed to say that, right?
Yeah, but I can't go into too much detail.
Yeah, we won't go into the details or anything. But one thing I know you can talk a little bit about with us is your movie Salt, which is doing the festival circuit at the moment, and I know was shown recently at the London Film Festival, and was really well received.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, how's it all going, man? You must be super chuffed, basically.
Yeah, it's been really good. This is like my third film in a row at the London Film Festival, and like, I didn't think I'd even get like one film in the London Film Festival. So like literally, I've like made like 3 films, and they've all got in. And this is, to me, London Film Festival is like the biggest film festival in the world. So like, I always like try and keep it like my feet on the ground, but sometimes I'm just like, holy moly, man! Like this is cool. This is cool. But yeah, like, so I didn't even think Slot would get into like film festivals, because we made it for Fox originally to go into American Horror Story, because they liked Dawn of the Deaf, the one we did before, and they said, I can do this again. We want to put a short film in the middle of American Horror Story on Halloween. So I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So we made it, and I wrote it with Rob, who is my regular collaborator, and he directed it. And it's about a mother who has to save her daughter from a demonic presence in her house that keeps trying to get her. So she has to draw a sort of circle around her bed every night. But then one night she has to go get medicine for the kids, so she has to leave the salt circle, and then chaos ensues. But we have so, and like, we didn't know what was happening with it. So because Fox were, I mean, you can imagine what Fox are like with their own property. So we didn't think they would submit it to film festivals, and then they started submitting it to film festivals, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I was like, and then we were like, can we put it into film festivals ourselves? And they said, yeah, cool, as long as like you tell us which ones they are. And then we submitted it, and then we got into the ones we wanted, which was really cool. But it's really the London Film Festival, the one that's just happened now, that's the big one, because you get to like hang out with your peers, with other filmmakers who are like in the same boat as you, having the same experiences, and just talk ideas and like network. I'm actually, like, contrary to popular belief, I'm not very good with like with people. Like I'm not like my default best time is by myself watching Netflix in bed. Like, the thought of having to like talk to strangers like is not great for me, especially because normally strangers just don't get me. They won't know my horror film references, and I'm talking about horror all the bloody time. So it was good to be in a situation at London Film Festival where these filmmakers, and we were put into like a genre kind of strand, like they knew what I was talking about, and it's just like talking to like old friends as well. And I got to see some really good films. and yeah, it's just like a real good feeling to kind of be on your home turf and to kind of get the kind of respect for something you've done. Um, yeah, and then we're going to do like all the other film festivals around the world. We've been in about maybe 7 or 8 so far, and yeah, it'll probably go on until sometime next year. But yeah,
Awesome.
that's Salt. Yeah.
Awesome. And I saw it got picked up by the Prince Charles as well, so it's going to be attached to Mandy. Is that right?
Yeah, like so in the coming weeks, because I've screened a lot of films at Prince Charles Cinema, and they've always been really supportive with me and Rob and like projects. I've done like live podcast things from there as well. So actually, it was like 6 months ago. I was like speaking to the guy who programs it. I was just like, we've got this like little short. I don't know if we're allowed to even show it anywhere, but like at some point, like it'd be cool to like show it at the Prince Charles, maybe before some films, and then he's like, yeah, cool. But it's one of those conversations where it might not come about. But then when it kind of started getting attention and it was in film festivals, then it kind of got more serious. So now it's going to be tomorrow, which is Monday the 22nd. It's being shown in front of a film called Deathline, which is Donald Pleasant's horror movie from the 70s about kind of cannibals on London Underground, which is awesome. And on Wednesday,
Okay.
being shown in front of Wolfen, which is like this 70s werewolf movie, which has it's one of the first films to show from a monster's point of view. You can see that the kind of like infrared kind of view for like POV, first person POV.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like one of the first ones to do it. And then it's been shown in front of Mandy, which is the Nicolas Cage film that everyone's going wild about at the moment.
Has anyone seen? Have you seen that yet?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, I need to peep it as well. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. It is kind of it's an experience, but it is good. Like it'll change you. But and then it's being played on Halloween in front of the Evil Dead, which is like Sam Raimi's like original Evil Dead. So I'm really pleased with that. And then like one of the best things is being played with in this kind of group called like all night. There's like an all-night marathon of like modern horror classics. So it's Get Out, It Follows, The Babadook, A Quiet Place, and Salt. So
sweet.
yeah, it's good to be lumped in with those guys.
Yeah, that's a steam company.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it for Salt. And like a month ago, I wrote and directed Multiplex, which is about a brother and sister in South London, kind of based on me and my sister. And that is about a urban legend in a cinema. About if you watch films in a certain order in a cinema, then another screen door will open and there's treasure there. So and they need money fast, so they're desperate and they're just like, okay, like we heard this like crazy urban legend, let's just see if it's true. So they go into the cinema and they follow the rules of this urban legend to try and find the treasure. Yeah. So just on that, it's in the editing process now. It stars Lewis McDougall from A Monster Calls playing the young me. My friend Emma as my sister, and Victoria Yates, who's in the new Harry Potter movie, Fantastic Beasts movie, and a whole bunch of other people from the other films I've done, Dawn of the Deaf and etc. So that's coming up, and then got features, got the next year. Well, I think I kind of like announce it, but like it's been coming. Everyone knows it. So Dawn of the Deaf movie is going to come out. We're going to announce the details about that soon, and then we have other features on the go that I'm not allowed to talk about.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so keeping myself busy and creative for the upcoming future. Yeah. Oh, and I'm at Comic-Con. I'm hosting a panel at Comic-Con this weekend. The next weekend. I'm doing a werewolf panel for some werewolf film.
Oh, yeah, I saw you tweet about that.
Yeah. It's funny because I just posted like my favorite werewolf movie is Ginger Snaps 2. And that's legit. That's not just me like gassing. That's I don't know if you guys have seen Ginger Snaps 2. But
to be honest, I may have, but I only really vividly remember Ginger Snaps, the first one.
Yeah, everyone does. But like honestly, Ginger Snaps 2, it's so clever and it plays around with like the werewolf lore. So yeah, I really like that. Yeah, so I'm afraid I'm probably doing some other stuff Saturday and Sunday because there's lots of like horror people there. So I assume I'm going to be doing that while you guys are in Paris Comic Con, living it up large.
Hell yeah. Paris. Get Paris. Here we come.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing your post-Paris podcast about it.
Yeah, we're going to geek out about that for sure. We're going to try and record some stuff while we're there as well.
Yeah,
just to give you our reactions to different things. So
can you find something out for me?
Yeah.
Does everyone cosplay Pepe Le Pew out there, or and just like characters from LOLO?
I'll be sure to ask the first Frenchman I can find.
Yeah. Oh, Renee.
Excuse me, are you Pepe Le Pew?
Yeah. Loads of Vicky Michelle's out there.
Cool. Well, Jed, man, as always, it's a pleasure to have you on, dude. And as said, we will have you back on the Bebop Rewatch.
Yeah, please do, man.
Because in fact, let's make it a trilogy because there's 2 episodes that I want to get your take on. So. We're definitely going to have Jed return to us. Before we wrap it up, Jed, where can people find you on social media and find out more about what you're doing?
They can find me at Jed Shepherd on Instagram and Twitter, which is JEDSHEPHERD, and that's me on everything. That's it really. You can see my crazy, weird life.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us listeners. Thanks a lot for joining us on this episode. Before we go, actually, I should probably mention as well that we do have the Wulong Talks podcast, which, I mean, if you're listening to this, you should be listening to Wulong Talks as well. If not, why not? But you can find it wherever you found this episode. Just make sure you look into our library on that specific channel and you will find all of our Wulong Talks episodes. We recently had a sit down with Dan from Dan's Distillery and it was a lot of fun. So make sure you go and check that out as well. All right, we're out of here. So I'm going to say good night. Rich Kid, say good night.
Good night.
And Jed, say good night.
Good night.
And we're out of here, people. Take care of yourselves and we'll see you next week. Peace. Thanks for listening to us. If you're down with Wulong Talks, show some love by following us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Wulong Talks. You can also find us online at www.wulongtalks.com or drop us an email at wulongtalkspodcast@gmail.com. We can also be found as part of the Britpod Scene Collective, and we're also officially E14 endorsed. Search for those hashtags to enjoy more content from us and from other great British podcasters.